I don't think Tua is a bad quarterback. The finally admit video was basically saying, I don't think that he has the traits to be elite. You need to put a lot around him so that he can be. But if you do, I think he can be one of the top 10 and probably ceiling-wise top 5 quarterbacks in the league based upon his traits. That is what I said. I want people to stop saying, see, you should have, I don't think that he sucks. I never said that he sucks. I think he chokes in the big moments, but it also has to do with his team not putting the right pieces around him. So what you're going to see in this film breakdown is going to be basically what I said in my last video. It's just the Tyreek Hill effect. I think at this point you've seen with Tyreek Hill, they've taken away his best possible thing, and the pure aspect of being a superstar receiver, making these types of catches and bailing your quarterback out, he's just not able to do, and he's just not doing it. And at the end of the day, seeing all these different things that Tyreek Hill is consistently doing with the tweets of "I gotta go, coach," and what else? The cop thing in the beginning of the season, and then the 2,000 yards last season. It's a constant distraction. And I think personally, when you watch this film breakdown, it looks like everybody's playing, and Tyreek Hill is just kind of giving up because he's just not making these catches. And I think at this point, he just wants to go somewhere else. I don't think he wants to stay here. I think he's part of the issue of this team, because having that trust in your number one receiver, this is something that Tua does not have. And I personally think rookie year, and then when Tyreek Hill first got here, he had the confidence in these two guys that if he throws the ball to them, they're going to make a catch. These past couple years, Tyreek Hill is the number one receiver, and I don't think that he trusts that Tyreek Hill is going to make a catch, because consistently he drops these things or gets it picked off. And that's the problem. Sometimes a quarterback needs you to just bail him out. That's what you're getting paid $100 million. And we saw it the first year where he would make spectacular catches the first year. But this year, because I think honestly, because he's not getting 2,000 yards, he just doesn't seem to show up. Doesn't make those types of catches. He makes the catches that's like, and even the ones that are pinpoint dots, he still drops. Like, those are the catches that he makes. Catches that every receiver makes when they're open and Tua throws it right into your stomach. You make those catches. But the ones that Tua needs him to make, Tua is like, please just here's the ball, go catch it. He drops them. And that takes a toll on Tua. Again, I want to preface, I think Tua is a very good quarterback. I think he can be one of the tops. I don't think that he can be elite because of his traits. But we'll define elite. Eventually we'll see what happens. But I think he can be top 10, top 5 in the league. Don't think he sucks. I just don't think that he's elite right now because he chokes in a lot of big moments. But that's something that, maybe eventually ends up happening. But again, I think with this film breakdown, you're going to see that Tyreek Hill he's just not worth the money at this point, or the headache. So we're going to start with this 3rd and 9. And this is something that I'm really starting to see, is I think that this team is still playing, but Tyreek Hill, he just seems like he's kind of given up on what he's doing. And you're going to start to see like certain plays like this. This is a 3rd and 9. And Tua's going to make a beautiful throw. And Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, all those really, CeeDee Lamb, all those really high-paid receivers, you make this catch, and Tyreek Hill just drops it. So that's what we'll get into right now. You're going to see, basically the similar play that we always run. Boom, hits him, Tyreek Hill drops it. And what I'm wondering is, this is what I think needs to happen. Because right now, the thing is I know we want to fire Chris Greer, and kind of think, hopefully, that maybe they'll take a chance. It didn't look like it the way that Stephen Ross was talking and looking the other day. But we have a lot of good weapons as a core, Jonnu Smith as the tight end. You have Malik Washington. You have Jalen Waddle. You have Devon Achane. And then Jalen Wright next year is probably going to do much better. You have a lot of pieces, a lot of young pieces to build around. Even Patrick Paul and Aaron Brewer. These players are very good to build around. That's kind of what I'm starting to look for here is, again, he makes these catches. He makes half the catches, but Oh, that's not even him. That was Devon Achane. Yeah, this is a beautiful play to Devon Achane. They're going to do a motion with Tyreek Hill, and you're just going to see Devon Achane make a catch that Tyreek Hill should be making. Boom. Look at that. Look at that catch. That's a running back right there. He's going to be such a freaking weapon for his entire career with the Dolphins. What I'm thinking that they should be doing, which I don't know, I maybe they just keep Tyreek Hill and call it a day, but I think you do exactly what Josh Allen did. Look, this is the throw that we all were talking about. I mean, you're getting paid $100 million. You need to make that catch. And he's been doing this for years, and now it's just coming out more because his one ability they've taken away. So being a star receiver is what you need to be. I mean, this is a dime by Tua. Boop, right there. I mean, come on. This is what it just looks like he's given up on the season. I mean, that was such an amazing throw by Tua off his back foot, launching it across the field right into his hands. You can't throw it any better. And again, this is what we're starting to see is the first year Tyreek Hill in coverage was making these spectacular catches. This year and kind of late into last year, he needs to be wide open or else he's not going to make these catches. And that's what you saw with Derek Stingley. And I don't want to say it's age, but, he's hitting 30s. It's not the same anymore. And it's not the same in the fact of Tyreek Hill, in order to be elite, has to do so much more than every other receiver because he's not big, he's not, super long and all that stuff. He has to do so much more. And I think maybe you hit your 30s and it starts catching up to you. Because Tua had a really good game. And, that's the thing. He had a really good game. The run game was back on. It was all flowing. And personally, Tua had an okay game. Like, people look at the stats, 215, 1 touchdown. They'll look at the stats and be like, oh, this guy stinks, is average. Tyreek Hill catches those touchdown passes. Tua has like a 100-yard day or a 300-yard passing day and 3 touchdowns. You know what I'm saying? So it's like the difference is Tyreek Hill. If he makes these catches, Tua has a 3-touchdown day, 300 yards. Tyreek Hill has 100 and something yards and 2 touchdowns. This is the point of you're getting paid this money. You need to be a leader, and you can't be a leader when the one thing that you're supposed to do you're not doing. And this is why I would say, it's been a thing last year where Tua was forcing the ball to Tyreek. We all knew it. And this year, now he's not forcing the ball to Tyreek, but when he throws the ball to Tyreek, half the time he drops it. So at this point, I kind of wonder if he's throwing a little bit of a temper tantrum because he's not getting all the passes that he used to last year. Because at the end of the day, I don't know if Tyreek Hill is that like, if he can't just shut down the me thing, And again, this is what I think should happen, is you trade Tyreek Hill and you start like kind of making this offensive line better and getting a bigger receiver for Tua to throw the ball to. Because he just doesn't have that. And you'll see when we come to the red zone, Tua has to make perfect throws in order to score. And we just can't do it because we don't have the receivers. And I think right here is the other drop. Oh, no, this is not the other drop. A play like that, this is the perfect play to announce that. Play like that, if you have someone that's like 6'3" that can go up and get it, look where he puts the ball. This is where... Well, he puts it a little bit far out, but that's because if he puts it in, they might intercept it, and he's scared to do that. That was kind of the beauty when we had Devontae Parker, is when Tua was a rookie, he could just put it up, and Devontae Parker would make a catch, and he doesn't have that right now. That's why we have to do all these screens in this area, because we can't move the ball around here. We don't have those big guys, and again, like I'm saying, with Tyreek Hill, he just... It's not good enough to get paid $100 million. It's different for a quarterback. You want your quarterback to make throws, be accurate, anticipation, all those different things. You want him to do that, and you pay him $100 million when he does it. Tua is a top 10-ish, maybe 11 quarterback in this league. Top 10, I would say. Definitely a top 10. There's a chart that you can look at that literally shows that Tua has the least amount of time of any quarterback to throw the ball. It's 2.4 seconds, so 1,000, 1,000. That's literally how much time and you can see it right there. Like, he has no time to do anything. And that's the problem with this team, At this point, I think you can get some value for Tyreek Hill. You can move the cap space off. And you can get yourself another offensive lineman to go with Patrick Paul to replace Liam Eichenberg. And that's going to open up everything, because Tua, people forget because we can't really do it this year. Tua is one of the best play-action quarterbacks in the league. But he can't do it because no one's going to fall for the run until, this game was the first time that we've been able to run the ball. And that's because Kendall Lamb is back in. So, you see like Liam Eichenberg on his face. I want to rewind that so you guys can see. We're just gonna, whatever. Liam Eichenberg falls down per usual. You got to replace these guys. It's enough at this point. That's a Malik Washington catch. Kid, that we have a solid core. We have that core to build off of. Even on the defense, Chop Robinson, Jalen Phillips. Even Bradley Chubb. Unfortunately, Javon Holland didn't turn out. But you have Jordan Brooks, you have Kendall Fuller, which I'll look into the injury. I want to see what happened to him. But, again, a lot of the throws or a lot of the things that Tyreek Hill has been doing in the past half year and this year is because Tua is just pinpointing the ball and being very accurate, that all he really has to do is catch it, That's literally what he has to do. And it seems like a lot of those spectacular catches that he was doing the beginning, like when we played the Patriots the first year that he was over here and he had that one-handed grab over the Patriots corner, we aren't seeing that anymore, And of course, 30 years old takes a toll because, again, Tyreek Hill just the physical traits that he have kind of limit him. So he has to work much harder than every other receiver on the field because he's not big. And it's not like a hate thing that I'm saying to trade him. It's just I think Tua would be better if he just had another receiver and, someone that he could just throw it up to and hail, pray, or whatever, do something with it. Because right now the only big person is Jonnu Smith, and he's a tight end, and he goes in the middle of the field. So it's hard to, if you put Jonnu Smith out on a fade, people are going to understand, okay, we know what they're doing. They're doing a fade to Jonnu Smith. And the problem is that Tua has no time to throw. So you exchange that, hopefully you learn from what happened these past 3 years. I don't mind if Chris Greer stays if he decides to fix the problem that he's continually ignored every single year. If he decides to do that, I don't care, because he has made some good moves. He has done some good things. But the problem with all of us is we think that Chris Greer is just not going to address the offensive line again this year. Because you see, with Isaiah Wynn, Austin Jackson will be in that right tackle spot. Aaron Brewer looks great. Patrick Paul looked really good. If you just get a left guard that can be, solid, Tua's going to have an incredible time because he's going to have all the time to throw the ball. He'll have 3 seconds. And the problem is we just don't think he's going to do it. Like I said, I don't care if they keep everybody. I think if you get to the offensive line that he needs, he'll be fine. He doesn't really need all these star receivers. He showed it in his rookie year that he can just find whoever's open. He just doesn't have enough time to throw. And like I said, I think Jalen Waddle at this point can take over Tyreek Hill roles. I personally think that because Tyreek Hill is so needing the ball to come to him, that it's kind of similar to the Stephon Diggs thing, where it just kind of screws someone up because the other players don't know when they're going to get the ball. And I think when we first saw Jalen Waddle in the league, a lot of the traits that he's developed weren't there when he was a rookie because he was the star of the show. He was the guy, and that's the thing. It's all about Tyreek Hill on this team now, and he hasn't been the guy. And whenever he is the guy, he shows out. Whenever he plays the Jets, whenever Tyreek Hill is down, Jalen Waddle becomes the dude. It's just unfortunate that I just don't think he has the same confidence because he thinks he's a secondary person. Jonnu Smith being a straight stud. What a pickup. See, this is what I'm saying. Like, Chris Greer has had some good things. It's just if he decides to get his head out of his butt and go, okay, I'm learning from my mistakes this year. This year is going to be all about the trenches. We're going to get a bunch of offensive linemen, a bunch of, good pieces on the defensive line, and we're going to build from there. Because we have pieces, on the defense. We have Jalen Ramsey. We have Kendall Fuller. We could even see what we have. The safety is the position that we need to address the most, I would think. But we have the pieces, man, if we just go for what we need to go for. And that was a bad throw by Tua. But even still, here's the thing. This is where sometimes your quarterback needs you to bail him out. He makes a throw a little late, throws it up, and he wants you to come down with it because you're the guy. And this is what's been just irking all of us is, I understand it's a late throw. It's still in his hands. It's in Tyreek Hill's hands. You have to make that catch. And it's getting frustrating to watch this day in and day out, where I just think this dude is just kind of giving up on his team because he's not getting the passes. He didn't hit 1,000 yards this year. Well, you would have if you decided to stop dropping the ball. It's like, I think the underlying thing, even when he talked about his press conference, and the underlying thing of like, my teammates know what I'm going through this year. It's always about Tyreek Hill, and that's what I've always seen. And honestly, there's little increments that kind of show throughout the years. Like, for instance, when Tua threw that interception against the Bills in the final game of the season, just walked off, like didn't even try and console his teammates or anything like that, just walks off. These are things that are very detrimental to the team. And I really do think that there might be a little something where he's just too much about himself on this team, and now he's throwing a temper tantrum because he's not getting the targets that he used to get last year. I don't know. Like I said, I think if you get a second round, because Tua's playing fine, I think people mistake what I said the last couple games of like, Tua sucks. I don't think that Tua sucks. I think he's a really good quarterback. I just don't think he's elite. I don't think he can just carry a team out of nowhere. But no quarterback really can do that. But do I think he's elite? No. He makes mistakes too many times, just kind of like a little bit like Tyreek Hill. But do I think he's a very good quarterback? Yes. I think his ceiling could be top 5 quarterback in the league. I still think that. I don't think that he's, not going to be that. I think he will. If you get him an offensive line, he's going to be like a Drew Brees. When you consider Drew Brees wasn't sitting there running around like Lamar Jackson, making a throw off his back foot for 70 yards. He wasn't doing that. The reason he was elite is because his offensive line, Teron Armstead, was one of the great offensive linemen that he had. And they continually built that way. It's kind of the philosophy for all the good head coaches. You build the offensive line because you can't do anything with that. And that's what this end of the season, depending if we make the playoffs or not, our offensive line, you can clearly see. Like, Isaiah Wynn is in there. Kendall Lamb is back in there. It's a completely different ballgame. Like, you saw, Teron Armstead's back in there. Completely different ballgame. I hope he takes a pay cut so that he can come back next year. But it's a completely different ballgame. Tua has more time. The running game is going. All of these different things go when you have this offensive line. So if Chris Greer and Mike McDaniel can just see that, it'll be fine. The problem is that we don't even slightly address it, where it's like just Patrick Paul. That's all we get this year. I don't think they brought anybody else in. Pretty sure. Yeah. I mean, and there was significant offensive linemen this last year. I know I wasn't making videos, but I was looking at it. There was a significant amount of offensive linemen that we could have snagged. The Chiefs grabbed them. The Jaguars grabbed them. The Texans grabbed them. There was a decent amount. The Falcons had one guy that we could have paid a small amount of money that's having a really good year. There was a lot. of guys, and we just decided to pass on all of them and just draft Patrick Paul and just keep running it back with the same team, hoping that somehow Liam Eichenberg has a revelation in his sleep and becomes, like a Joe Thomas or something like that. And they betted on themselves and they lost. Because they bet that Butch Berry could do it. And there's just certain players that it doesn't matter what coach you get. Like, if we could be real, Liam Eichenberg is playing better than when we first saw him, but he's still not good. He's still not a good offensive lineman, and you'll see it right when we get into the red zone. We can't score because we don't have a big receiver. I think it's right here. Yeah, Tyreek Hill just drops this pass again. And I don't know what he's going through, but at the end of the day, Tua is he's relying on you, and again, these are plays where not only do you drop it, Tua has an incompletion, but that was a beautiful throw again by Tua, and the Tua haters will be like, oh, this, that, and the other thing, but it's another beautiful throw by Tua, and he's making a lot of those. And you just can't drop that. Tua you're supposed to be Tua's rock. You're supposed to be the guy that Tua goes, I'm going to throw him the ball and he's going to catch it. And that weathers on your quarterback, man. That weathers on you almost threw an interception right there. That weathers on your quarterback because you don't know if he's going to catch the ball. So then on top of that, when you're throwing these 50-50 balls, you're afraid it could get intercepted because you don't know if your guy's going to make the catch. Dak Prescott knows that CeeDee Lamb is going to make that catch. Sam Darnold knows that Justin Jefferson is going to make that catch. Joe Burrow knows that Jamar Chase is going to make that catch. Tua does not know that Tyreek Hill is going to make that catch. So that scares you. You get afraid to throw it into that type of coverage because you don't know if your guy's going to come down with it or the other guy. And that's a problem. That's a freaking problem. And I'm getting tired of seeing it, especially for he takes up the most cap space out of everyone coming into next year. You just don't need that. You don't need that anymore. It's been too many, it's been starting as the distractions and then the cop thing and then, the hand and then every single thing is always something to do with Tyreek Hill, and I get he plays through a lot of stuff, but that's what you're getting paid for. It's kind of like what I always see with people that go to work and then complain about work because work doesn't care about them more. And it's like, but they pay you, right? Well, that's what they're paying you for. They're paying you to go to work. That's the whole point of this. And I think Tyreek Hill doesn't want to truly, it kind of is similar to me like the Antonio Brown situation. Obviously much different. I don't think that Tyreek Hill is Antonio Brown, but they're kind of similar in the fact that was on the Chiefs, didn't really talk a whole bunch, kind of was kept under wraps by a good coach. Not saying that Mike McDaniel isn't, but kind of kept under wraps by a good coach. And then comes to another team and just starts yapping. Thank you so much for watching. Hit that like and subscribe if you liked this video. Make sure you guys hit the like, hit the subscribe, and ring the notification bell so that you can know when I make new videos. I'm probably pumping these out basically every single day. I love talking about sports. So, as you can see in this film breakdown, you can see 3 or 4 drops. That $100 million receiver, man, you can't do that. He just looks like he just doesn't care. And he doesn't even look like he's fighting for it. I understand you have a wrist injury, but at the end of the day, Terrell Owens couldn't catch with his hands. He would still use his body, and he had a whole career catching with his body. It just doesn't look like he cares. It looks like because he's not getting the yardage that he normally wants, he just kind of is giving up on the season. And I think at this point it's time to move on from him and get to a bigger receiver and then having a team mentality. Jalen Waddle seems to have the team mentality, but Tyreek Hill still seems to be all about Tyreek Hill. Constantly putting out tweets, this, that, and the other thing, instead of just playing football and playing to the best of his ability. And it's starting to show. And I think at this point you can move him for some sort of something, and do it before it becomes a problem, you know. And that's what I think you do this offseason. You do that, and you build the offensive line and get to a bigger weapon that can go along with Jonnu and Waddle, and basically make